Hey guys, Power of Tabarn here, and I am joined by the same three people that I did the Set 14 overview with. Introduce yourselves.
Help! I'm being held against my will here. Someone save me.
Alright, dude.
I'm Aku, by the way.
Hi, I'm Daniel. That's all I have to say, to be honest.
Hey, folks, it's me, Kokuusho. Alright.
Get me out of the
rip everyone's ears. Okay, so we're going to be doing things a bit differently from how we did in Set 14. So, for those of you who haven't heard, Set 15 is a bit of a fucking buster. It kind of sucks dick. And to not have us just constantly be rambling about how terrible this set is for 3 to 4 hours, we decided that we're actually just going to do a top 5, kind of like how Cipher Fair does a top 5 for every set, but we're going to be doing it a bit differently. All 4 of us have put together an individual top 5 list. We're going to be going over all of our top 5s. We're going to be explaining our choices for our lists. We're going to be arguing with each other. And we're also going to go over a few honorable mentions that didn't make the cut for any of our lists. Yeah, we'll start with some not-so-honorable mentions since this... Oh, god damn it. Some not-so-honorable mentions because this set is fucking terrible. Alright, guys, what do you want to start with? Let's start with Oguma. Let's start with Oguma.
Yeah, Oguma! Yeah. This card is not good.
Oh,
this card's amazing.
But it's usable in one deck, and it's not even used as a defining card in that deck. It's used if you've already basically won the game. So,
it can be used in Ogma MC. I don't think it's actually that bad in Ogma MC as a finisher.
Plus 20
field.
Nothing to
yeah, that's pretty good.
Yeah, but it's on a 5/4. You're not gonna see that thing until it's your Beowulf turn.
Yeah, it's not your main promo. It's something you use to close out the game, provided that your opponent survived. I think it's good. It might make Ogma one of the better sword aggro MCs. Not that sword aggro is really relevant anymore.
All sword aggro.
But yeah, I mean, I'll probably, if I were to play sword aggro, I'd probably play Ogma over Sirius or Sigurd now because of this promo. It's not bad.
But Tabarn, you have Flip to destroy.
Yeah, so now we're gonna get into the bullshit Kokuusho was about to talk about.
Shout out to my boy Meatloaf. So, how Twins works is that they get a bajillion bonds and a bajillion cards in hand, and then
you get 14 bonds and a hella cards. Let's be accurate here, sir.
Yeah. And then basically, when you discard them down to 0, what you do, you break all 5 of their ores with Ogma, and then you swing 4 times into your opponent's face. Because they have no cards in hand, and then you just broke 5 orbs. So if they somehow survive by having 4 evades, then whatever, but I mean, usually we'll end the game.
It's so fucking unnecessary. You don't need him to close out the game at all. You already have 30 more cards in your hand than your opponent.
You don't need it, but it's hilarious when you
That is true. That is true.
BM.
Alright. So let's try to not spend too much time on these cards. Let's just try to get straight into it. We don't want this video to be too long. Next up, we have our boy Shadow Pills.
Spoiler, he's also garbage.
Are you guys detecting a theme so far?
Oh no, one unit goes back to my hand. Oh no, I have to discard one.
I feel like Merrick isn't that bad. Being able to bounce your opponent's cards is decent because it prevents them from deploying that card on the next turn. So if your opponent has a really problem unit and you don't want to see that card next turn, you can use Excalibur on it. In general, though, it's just why the hell would you run this? There's so many better options. You could be playing Mei, you could be playing Ilyana, even in Control you could be playing Norn or something. I kind of like running him in Nana because you can get him out turn 3 if you use the 3-2 bridge, but outside of Nana, I don't think I'd really run him in anything. He's not very good, unfortunately. Maybe in Canas to make use of that second skill. or just because he bounces stuff and makes your opponent's hand size larger, so Knos can discard more with Dark Emblem. But yeah, I don't think he's really good.
Very niche.
Hard counters another card on.
Yeah, it can be used to get around certain cards. Like you can use it to...
You can bounce Erica.
Yeah, very relevant. And Mist 5/3, another extremely powerful card in the meta right now. You could use Merrick to get rid of her. He actually can get rid of Hinoko, set 7 Hinoko though, which is actually pretty relevant, so that's cool. But there's still not too much worth noting that he can really do that. Like,
also, he just gave them a Hinoka into their hand that they can use
to be
later.
fair, they can't deploy it next turn, but...
Yeah,
but
so they're just
turn
gonna
6
play it
comes
the
around,
other
they're like,
character.
Just discard your entire hand.
Yeah, somehow do that. Definitely not going to keep that Hinoka forever.
Yeah.
Alright, next.
Obviously, they're not gonna keep their playmaker.
So let's talk about
my
Katarina.
favorite fucking card of this set.
So this is the most expensive card in the set for some reason. Classic Japan. Prices make no goddamn sense. We still don't know why female Robin 4/3 is the most expensive card in set 12, but it is. And she still is. That hasn't changed.
It's Azura now.
Oh, that's right. Azura's more expensive now. That also makes no fucking sense. Anyways, Katarina,
Waifus.
I'm pretty sure that Kokuusho, Daniel, and I think that like she's decent, like okay at best. Not a very good card. Not fucking terrible though. Aku fucking hates her. Aku thinks this card's fucking horrible.
To void an orb. I am amazing. I can crit the MC to void an orb. Congratulations to me.
It's a 1-for-1. You discard a cat from your hand to minus your hand size by 1 effectively. Like,
and you tap. Don't forget that you tap, so you can't attack anything. You just have to tap and discard.
Well, if you take the tap into account, it's a -2 on your end, but then you're also taking into account the fact that losing an orb for them is a -2. So, like, normally if you were attacking with her and you hit, they took the orb, that would be the tap is 1 point of advantage, and then them taking the orb is 1 point of advantage. But
you know what
since
else
you're discarding, they don't get the orb, so it's like a 2-for-2 basically. It's like decent. It just like doesn't really impact the board state very much. And that's my main issue with the card. Like, you play that, like, you take a card like May, you play her turn 4, she blows something up, she buffs your field, she draws you a card, she does so much. Ileana, she blows up the field, she draws you cards. Like,
she washes your laundry.
Yeah. Even something like, say, like Jill, she, like, builds your field size up. Tsubasa, who we'll get into later, she builds your field size up. As far as, turn 4 is very important turn in Cipher. It's when you really start, like, bringing out your big guns, and you're really gonna fucking play this card on turn 4. Wow. Discard a card from your hand, opponent. Mwahahaha. Like,
I crit the MC, he loses an orb.
I think probably, like, this card probably has some potential in some decks. Like, you run it in decks that you have, like, unavoidable win conditions, and then you can run it in decks of hero skill shenanigans, but neither of those types of decks are really viable at all in the meta. The game's just way too aggressive for that type of stuff.
The only deck that really runs unavoidable shenanigans is Lin, and Lin's not gonna run red just for this piece of garbage over here.
I mean, you can get Faye from red, too.
Or you can just unavoidable them.
Yeah, Lynn doesn't really need it, though, too. She can just, like, kill them from 3 orbs.
Pretty much, yeah.
Yeah. I honestly probably feel like the hero skill shenanigans are going to be the main reason you play this, because she also gains, she's like an 80 beater if she's your MC, so...
It's also important to note that she can only buff your MC if he's red, so she's racist too.
Alright.
Next card.
Yeah, let's move on. Oh, nope. Yumina. Yumina 1 is kind of an interesting card. I don't think she'll end up being that good, but in theory, I feel like if she's... I don't know. She might be good in, like, Marth or something. She makes all of your 30 costs, or your... Oh my god, 30 costs. 1 cost 30 attack mages, gain plus 10 attack. They can hit for 40 now, which lets them hit, whereas MC whereas this 30 base Fate wouldn't be hitting face. I don't know though. The type of deck where this card would see play in is kind of phasing out of favor right now, and Archer spam, as I mentioned earlier with Katarina, the game's becoming a lot more aggressive, leaning a lot towards more aggro tempo based strategies than like mage mid-range stuff like Marth. And even in a Marth type deck, I do kind of question how useful this card is. Like, being able to make your other units hit is nice, but it comes at the cost of deploying a unit who will not be able to hit anything no matter what. So I feel like with that in mind, she's only really worthwhile if she's enabling 2 or more allies to hit when they wouldn't be able to hit, because if she's just enabling 1 ally, what's the point? And by then, that requires a really specific field setup, and it's just, I just don't think she's that great. She's an interesting card. She's neat, but I don't think she's that good.
Maybe when archers go away, maybe when archers finally go away from the game, she might see some play.
Yeah, like for now we can't even fucking consider her. If the game ever phases back to like the old Marth type decks, then we might be able to consider her. But even then, it's a big if. It's a pretty big maybe if this card would actually see play in those types of decks.
Yeah.
I'm gonna move on. Minerva. Daniel, do you like this card, Daniel? I'm pretty sure the rest hate this card.
I mean, I still think White Wings might work somewhat, and Minerva is decent there. It's not a great card, but it actually works sometimes. I mean, it's something, I guess.
Well, I'm a proponent of White Wings, but I don't like Minerva and White Wings. I would much rather run...
She's discount Hinoka.
Yeah, I'd much rather just run Hinoka.
I mean, I only run 2, because she's...
Hinoka blocks destruction effects on all of your flying allies, not just dragon allies. Hinoka herself cannot be destroyed, whereas Minerva can be destroyed. Hinoka's influencing the game a lot more by actually being able to hit stuff. Hinoka doesn't hurt your support base, because ideally you want your entire deck to be flyers. Hinoka can grab other White Wing sisters for you if you need them.
etc.
Yeah, there's like no comparison in my opinion.
She can also bring you coffee, apparently, since she does all that.
Minerva can tap and flip a bond to heal. Wow.
Minerva Flying Dragon.
Yeah, Flying Dragon, not just heal any card. Jesus Christ. Okay, Tiki 6. This card makes me sad. I'm trying to make her work in Nana.
Not going to happen.
Card sucks.
Yeah, she's not very good. I think so the second skill is fucking useless. It's like a tempo type skill, but this card's a fucking 6-drop. Like, you're not running this in a tempo deck. The earliest this card is activating is when you have 7 bonds. That's pretty late. You're not you're not running this card for the tempo. You're mainly running this card for the first skill. It lets you nuke your opponent's field. And I think using her for field control is useful if you can get her out on like turn 4. But if you're playing her on turn 6, which is when most decks will be able to play her at the earliest, that skill's not very useful. Which really relegates her to use in just a handful of decks. In most decks, she really doesn't have much use, I feel like. Just because she comes out way too late. In decks that can potentially get her out early, I feel like she might be a decent field control tool. Nana can get her out turn 4 fairly consistently. That's why I mentioned I'm trying to make her work in Nana. But yeah, the decks that she does work in aren't exactly spectacular. Shit like Alphonse, Nana, Randall, it's not a good look. And
yeah, and here's the problem. Being a 6-drop, she faces competition with the other turn 6 play, also known as Overclass.
Yeah.
Which is just instant fucking value out of nowhere.
Yeah, in a normal deck that's running Overclass, there's not much contest. If you're at turn 6 with 6 bonds, I think you definitely want to play Overclass. Like, you're past the point where field control would be useful. Again, I think that if you can get her out turn 4, you're playing against, like, Ascension or Obero or whatever, and your opponent just has, like, a shit ton of archers and random crap on the board. Tiki's really useful for helping you clear that shit off the board. And 2 turns later, she can clear the board again by untapping and doing it again. It's completely free.
2 turns later.
Which, again, it's not that bad if she comes out turn 4, but, like, yeah. For most decks, she's just way too slow. Pretty situational card. Not very good, unfortunately. Anything else you guys want to say about Tiki?
You can use it in Azura. Untap.
We're moving on. Clarice. Clarice, I think Jared likes this card. I don't think any of us are particularly fond of her.
I like her better than Katarina, if that counts for anything.
You hate Katarina so much.
I mean, let's be honest, this thing, okay, she can miss.
I mean, at least Katarina's unique. This card's like worse fucking Norn. I guess she makes it so that your other units can hit the back line for unavoidable, but like, what are you even gonna use that in?
Xander.
Shut the fuck up. Bitch.
Hey, what else would you use this card in?
You're not running this shit in Xander, let me tell you that much. And then the first skill is like completely useless. Like, it's like complete RNG. And yeah, if you activate it, it's super good. It's like a free -2 for your opponent. It's a free Fey Overclass, which is something you can just do 1 turn after deploying this card anyways, by the way. But, like, the payoff isn't even that amazing. And it's like, I think your chance on average is like 15% of activating her skill, some shit like that. It's not good. It's anti-Jenny, quote-unquote, except not really. Because, I mean, a lot of the time Jenny doesn't even put MC in orbs anyway. She'll just put another Jenny in orbs.
Moving on, probably.
Yeah, she's anti-Lissa. You fucked Lissa. You fucked Lissa. Oh, we're not going over you yet.
We don't have Lissa in here.
Emily.
Yay. It's 80 base during your opponent's turn.
That's it. Necro
That's
family.
the important part.
Azura is an aggro deck. Woohoo.
Pretty much.
Shoutouts to Meatloaf.
Yes.
Anyone else have anything they want to talk about?
No.
We should
We don't
probably
wanna
go
talk
back and actually go over Emily a little bit more.
Okay, fine.
Do we really want
What do you want to say about this 80 base vanilla Kokuusho?
That's a good bridge for 5. 6
Alright, moving on.
Yeah.
Okay.
No, it's good. And Emily.
nice flush?
Yeah, I think she's decent. So, okay, so like, alright, let's actually talk about this fucking card. So, you're not building a Dragon Blood deck around this card. You're not. Because you could be playing Mamui instead, and Mamui is capable of summoning Dragon Blood units from your hand, which gives you more Dragon Blood skills to proc on more Dragon Blood units, whereas Femui has very little synergy of the archetype at all. She has a flip 1, draw 1 card, which, like, in this world is just like, who gives a flying fuck? Yeah. This card is a bridge for 6/5 Femui, make no mistake. You're not building a Dragon Blood deck around this card.
You can play it in
All of the
Mamui,
Dragon Blood cards in this set are Mamui support, not Femui support. Let's get that out of the way. So, because Camilla is Mamui support. You can deploy her without spending without using any of your deploy face bonds. And she's a 60 beater in Mamui. If you have a good flyer base, she'll be able to hit stuff a lot of the time. If you run other buffers besides Mamui himself, that's another way she can hit. Most of her use will probably come from being either just using her own tap skill to clear enemies of 40 or less attack, or using Leo's tap skill to destroy a tome.
Yeah.
We'll get to Leo when we get to him, but it's worth noting that Camilla is also a buff to Hinoka, Dragon Blood Hinoka, because Hinoka, a lot of the time, like, you play her in the front line, but she can't really hit stuff because she's only 60, and then you move her to the back line with her own Dragon Blood skill, and then she kind of just sits on the back line and doesn't really do anything, aside from occasionally using her skill to move around cost 2 or lower units. But with Camilla and Leo, you can give your backline Hinoka something to do. You can use her to destroy enemies with 40 or less attack, or enemies with Tome Affinity. So I think Camilla is a pretty nice buff for Dragon Blood deck. Same thing with Leo. Leo, he taps to destroy non-Lord Tome enemies, and he can send your opponents to the Boundless Zone. Ooh, spooky!
Oh no! We're gonna go Delthea's back.
Spooky!
Unless you play Alice and you deploy that Delthea one for.
I didn't even put Ellis in the honorable mentions. Oh my god, that card is terrible. Okay,
She doesn't even buff Marv.
Boundless Zone, spooky. Ooh.
61 to 2 range in Mamui, yay!
I think
Yay.
Leo will be a pretty solid card when/if the meta ever shifts back to tomes being the norm. Right now, everyone's just fucking running archers and everything, so he's kind of whatever. He's okay. You still probably run him in Mamui, because it's not like there aren't any decks that run tomes, and Mamui kind of lacks field control, so Leo is a pretty nice way to deal with tomes, so yeah.
Yeah.
If tomes ever become good again, Leo will become pretty solid. Unlike Elise, who's a really bad card in my opinion.
I mean,
I would run Elise.
I think she's pretty decent.
I think she's...
Okay,
Like
3 cost black card that can tap to move an enemy in the backline. Wow, that does a lot. That is such a good splash card. That is such a strong splashable pull option.
I think
Like,
it's
holy
irony.
shit.
I'm not
I
too sure.
think you're
it's
are you
irony.
being sarcastic?
Like, dude, imagine playing black for a 3 cost puller that has to tap.
This
Amazing.
card doesn't exist at all, by the way. This card doesn't exist.
This card is bad. Ignore
Yeah,
me.
this card is the shit, though.
If
This
you're
card's
playing
great.
DB Mamui, if
Yeah.
you're playing DB Mamui, I think in this
I'd
meta,
probably
you might
run
wanna-
like 1 or 2, sure.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
I don't think.
I think it's better than Leo in this meta in DB Mamui.
I
Like, all
guess.
this meta.
Yeah, that's true. Fucking shit. I forgot what I was gonna say.
Good job.
But yeah, you'd probably run like 1 or 2, maybe like 3 copies of her. She gives your Hinoka and Camilla in the backline more stuff to do, so I guess that's cool. And she has a free retreat shuffle, which
It's not free.
Yeah, the
That's
wiki
what
text,
I want.
the wiki text is just fucked up. It's flip once retreat shuffle.
Not so free
Retreat
Oh.
shuffle is not very good in this
What-
meta,
what do you
and it's
mean
kind of
it's
just
not
not
good?
that good in general, to be honest.
Dude, it gives you an insta win against Sanity MC. That's
Oh,
shit.
no,
You're
that's not
right.
my
You're
fan.
right. You're fucking right, dude.
Alright, next.
All right,
Let's
next
get into
card's
the
fixed,
list.
whatever. Oh wait, no.
Not
no,
that yet.
No, okay. Cool. Oh wait, no. Nope. Okay, Reinhardt.
Wait, Barn, you forgot the most important DB card. You forgot Xander.
Oh no! Whatever, Reinhardt.
Not Shander.
Bad Ileana. Next.
Next.
He's a lot worse than Ileana. Saying he's a bad Ileana is kind of a fucking understatement, to be honest. This guy is really bad. He
Hey,
relies
man.
on support luck. If your opponent has dodges, he's just boned. You have to put him on the front line.
Magic is everything.
His flip 2 is locked behind you having to use his untap skill twice. Ileana's part of her strength is she's just such a flexible card, and she can do so much for you. Meanwhile, Reinhardt's just the complete opposite. He has these skills, he's very rigid in the way you can use those skills, very clearly meant to be used in a specific fashion, and you have to use them in that exact specific fashion. You cannot flip 2 to draw 2 cards of Reinhardt unless you have discarded 2 cards from your hand of Reinhardt's skill to untap him twice, and that requires you hitting 2 cards cards of Reinhardt, and that requires you not selfing on the first hit, and it requires your opponent not having 2 dodges for those 2 cards, and it requires your opponent to have 2 units on the board in the first place. This card's a goddamn mess, dude. Holy
But
shit.
Asura.
But Azure.
Shut the fuck up.
Alright, next.
This card goes
card.
perfectly with Necromue, dude. Oh,
So that's
hello,
all.
Slide.
That's all for our honorable mentions. So
Okay.
we're gonna start moving into our actual top 5s now. Daniel, I believe he needs to leave soon, so we'll start with him.
Yay.
Daniel, top 5.
Let's go.
Daniel, so your top 5, I believe your number 5 was Jacob. Am I
Indeed.
correct? Okay, so
Jacob, yes.
why do you think Jacob is worthy of top 5? Number 5.
I mean, to be honest, when
Listen.
I made the top 5, I didn't really think about the fact that mages aren't seeing that much play right now. But I still think it's pretty strong. Like the fact that you can give unavoidable against MC to basically any unit in your field, I think it's pretty relevant. And it's actually in a pretty good color, like white-black. You actually want to play white right now. I think so, at least. I think it's a pretty good color to be in,
Well-
apart from red, maybe. And
So-
that said, the fact that you cannot be destroyed by tomes is pretty decent.
Mhm.
If
So-
this was old meta, I'd say he was a very good card.
So
I think
So the
I
big
think
thing I
this-
disagree with. Well, I'm sorry. Do you want to
Yeah.
go, Aku? Go ahead.
Yeah. So the thing is, this card has a pretty good effect for his first one, in which you can just flip to win the game if they're at 0 for God knows what reason. But I think he's gonna be a lot better when archers go away from the meta
Yeah,
and
that's
things starts going back into tomes. It's kind of the same logic
If
I use for my
We
top
don't know what
5.
direction Cipher will take in the future.
I mean, they're not gonna give us Archer Emblems again, right?
Yeah,
Budget.
I mean, yeah, they're not giving us Attack Emblem Archers, but at the same time, like, Takumi 4-3 is a hell of a good card, Archer Emblem or no, so...
Queen Elka's also.
Yeah, Queen Oka also fucking exists. We'll get to her
Yeah.
later.
don't know, I do think Jacob is pretty good. I don't know. Like, he might not see that much play right now, but I think it's a card we should, like, keep an eye on, at least.
Yeah, I agree. It's an interesting card at the very least, due to that second skill.
So
If it ever comes into tome meta.
yeah, the first thing I'll say is that I disagree with him being in a good color. Black-white is a very cumbersome splash in my opinion, and while a lot of decks are running white right now, I don't think Jacob is a card you want to be running in any of those decks. I don't think Ascension Obero type decks really appreciate the utility Jacob provides that much, especially since
Right.
those decks are going to be like using all of their bonds on Obero and Queen Oka and whatever. And yeah, he's good against tomes, but like Ascension decks already fuck up tomes anyways. Like it's Ascension decks have a reason why tomes, like part of the reason why tomes aren't really in the meta right now anymore anyways. So I feel like Jacob is kind of limited in the amount of decks he can be ran in because of his color, like how cumbersome his colors are for splashing. I don't think his second ability is too relevant right now. And I think his first ability is good in some decks. I think his first ability is actually kind of funny in like Hug Marth. You could use it when they're at 1 orb and then go in for the hug the following turn. But yeah, I don't know. I just feel like he doesn't do that much. He seems kind of vanilla to me. I think his first skill, you can cheese some people with it occasionally, but a lot of the time it's not very useful. So I personally...
You can play it in Siegbert MC and then just double break, guaranteed.
Alright, next.
Yeah,
Yeah, sure, let's go next.
I don't have too much else to say about Jacob. So number 4 on your list, Daniel, if I recall correctly.
Saga Sister.
Yeah, it's
so
the right wing.
just you put all 3 of them. So ask Katria and
Yeah.
Pala. Any preference on which one you want me to show for the recording, Daniel, while we talk?
Just skip Pala, I think.
Okay.
I mean, I probably think
It's probably the
Patrick-
strongest
Hey,
card in
Daniel
the
has Daniel has good
That's the thing.
taste.
She's also the strongest card out of the three, honestly.
Yeah, Dibber, also you forgot to add that Paula has to tap. You just put flip one bond.
I didn't. That's the Wiki's fault, not
I
me.
gotta fix that at some point. Yeah, I'll put that on the list. That said,
Okay.
I honestly think Pega Sisters pretty decent deck at least. Like maybe tier 1 is like for sure tier 1 is too much. Maybe tier 2 is too much too, but tier 3, tier 2 might be a decent place to put her. Like the whole deck. I do think that Katria as MC is like better Cordelia in a sense. Pala, it gets a really good effect. That like if you play her MC, you can basically get the three of them turn 4 easily with no problems, and that's like really good. And even though I do think it might be hard to get it sometimes, I don't think it's that hard for them to be not possible to build. And
So,
90 base on 3 cards is really useful.
So I'll disagree with saying that
Yeah.
Katria is a better Cordelia, because Cordelia can move Frederick back. Katria cannot move Frederick back.
Right.
And
Katria also doesn't buff her field to more
Katria
respectable
doesn't-
levels.
Yeah,
Like, I mean, I guess if you consider your field as just the three sisters, she kinda does buff her field, but it's not. It's not the same shit. Cordelia can buff any lands.
I would say that as like for 50s, that's relevant. But if you're running mostly 60s in your deck, which you are in a White Wing deck, not being able to buff your field isn't that big of a deal.
actually, it
but-
actually pretty is, because
To
overall,
for dealing with 80s, that's true. But
Yeah.
one thing that I like about Pala is that Pala's kind of like a flyer Sharina. If you notice, her second seal has no color restrictions on what she can deploy. She can deploy any flyer of any color so long as it has a deployment cost of 4 or lower, which means one of the flyers you can actually deploy with her is Alincia 4-3 from set 3. So in the situation where you are against an MC that is 80 base and you want to hit with your non-white wings, you can drop Alincia with Pala. You can enable your field to hit.
Bond.
Yeah, that's true. It's a pretty hefty bond price to pay, but it's an option. And I wouldn't do it outside of Pala MC either. Like, I wouldn't go too crazy on running, like, colors that you don't have in your main deck if you're playing Katria or Est MC. It's probably only something I'd do in Pala MC.
Also, I think it's pretty decent mentioning that Est is actually useful most of the time, like during your turn. If you're getting hit a lot,
I
you just can draw
don't
cards
like
non-stop.
Est that much.
Yeah, I don't know. My experience, at least what I've played with them, actually Est was pretty useful. Maybe together
Yeah.
with Maria.
You don't have
But yeah.
you don't have white in your deck though, so you don't really have too
Yeah,
many outlets for your bonds.
I
I think
mostly
if you're
played
running
monocolor.
Hinoka, you probably don't have bonds to use on Est. So I don't think Est is that good. I feel like out of the 3, Est is probably like the worst. A lot of the time, I feel like he's just like a 90 base beater. I do think that white Hinoka is
90
like,
base is pretty high.
yeah, it's good, but she's not as essential as the other 2 sisters are to the execution of the strategy. You could replace her with like a 3-2 Est, and you wouldn't be hurt as badly as you would be if you were to replace Katria or Pala with their 3-2 versions. And yeah, I think Hinoka is kind of just essential to the White Wing strategy because it's all about having Pala, Katria, and Est on the field at the same time, and you want Hinoka to make sure that your sisters don't get blown up by destruction effects, so they can actually stay on the board. Because of that, I think Hinoka takes precedence over Est for bond spending. That's just me, though. I think these girls as MC are very unique, so I think that there's a lot of testing that still kind of needs to be done before we can make any executive decisions on whether they're good or not. I think they seem pretty good in theory. Daniel seems to agree with me. Kokuusho and Aku do not agree with me. But yeah, I think they're all right. But time will tell, though. You're just gonna have to do more testing with them. Theory crafting will only tell us so much, if anyone else has anything they want to say, go ahead.
Aye. Let me start on the hate train, as Ghost who would like to call it. So you're base 90 on turn 4, yeah? But that base 90 is actually pretty fragile if you're missing any pieces of the combo. Like, you need Hinoka, you need Paula,
Only
you need
Hinoka if you're playing Pala MC, which in my opinion is the best MC to use because you gain X. You don't need to actually splash white in order to run Hinoka and Pala, and you just gain a lot of other flyers from a lot of other colors because of her ability to summon whatever flyer you want. And you get more field pressure because you're summoning extra stuff from your hand every turn. But that's just me.
I mean, like,
Actually,
archers are meta as well, so Lolth being a flying unit,
Yeah, like that's
True there.
yeah.
it's pretty easy to hit them even if they are 90, because a lot of archers become 100 due to Kiragi being such a prevalent card in the meta as well as a later card in Hinoka here is also, like, destroys white wings too.
Yeah.
I don't know, it just feels kind of... They also have pretty bad backline access, in my opinion.
Yeah,
It's kind of like
I mean,
Cordelia
you can run May.
effect.
You can run May.
You can run May and stuff, but you're not deploying all your white wings, then what's the point, honestly?
I mean, Pala can get away with it much more easily because she can deploy a
Kinda
white wing
like
from her
Walhart,
hand with her skill,
my
and
opinion.
then she can deploy May from her hand on the same turn. Another reason why I think Pala is the best of the sisters.
I also think, like, Veronica hurts you in more ways than just start chopping your one attack, because they just
she
debuff
also
one of your
debuffs
sisters.
one of your sisters, makes it really hard for that sister to stick on the board. Yeah.
Yeah.
Loses to Merrick out of 10.
I mean, how many decks are actually going to play Merrick? But sure, who knows? Maybe if White Wings
One guy.
if White Wings become really meta, then Merrick will become popular to deal with them. We shall see.
Yeah.
I don't know. It feels like Walhart.
I
This
say,
deck feels like Walhart, except better. That's what
yeah,
I'll
it's
say.
certainly better.
It's better
than
Walhart.
At the very least,
Yeah.
we can agree on that.
Slightly better Walhart.
Next, probably?
Yeah. So number 3, I believe, was Leif for you, right, Daniel?
Yeah.
So
Like,
Leif is probably one of the most interesting cards in the set, and there's a lot to go over here, but the main thing that we want to look at is his third skill, the bond skill. His bond skill gives every single deck in the game, with the exception of, like, Marth, because high costs you. Like, pretty much every deck in the game. You could, in theory, run Leif in just about any deck. And you can use his skill to move a non-MC from the back line. Or, yeah, it's just move a non-MC. You don't even have to move the
that's
back line.
crazy.
In my opinion, this is the best card to come out of this set because you could just look at this card and put it on, and you can put it on any deck, and you don't have to put any more yellow cards. You can just put this and not touch any of the gross yellow stuff that's out there.
There's
and call it a
even
day.
good yellow stuff, too.
Yeah, or
Kinda
even the
like-
good yellow stuff. You could just put 4 of this in your deck and just bond all 4 copies, and it still works. It's amazing.
So
Gets around Gregor.
my thing about this card is, well, the applications of this card are nearly limitless in how many decks you can run it in. I feel like the effect itself, well, it's nice. It's admittedly a bit overcosted, and I feel like a lot of decks would rather just run field control, and will just run field control instead of playing Leaf. Like, I think a lot of decks that lack backline access, like Cordelia, are going to be running Leaf as a way to mitigate that. But I think other decks, like, I don't, like, obviously you would never run it in Marth, but, like, if you're running May or Ilyana in your deck or something, or even if you're running, like, DV Takumi or something, you're probably not going to be running Leaf in your deck. Flipping a bond to pull kind of sucks. It's fairly expensive, although you do gain the advantage of not having to deploy anything in order to pull, which is cool, but yeah, I feel like his skill, well, it has, like, there's, like, so, like, you could potentially just run it in so much stuff. Like, the splashability potential of Leaf is nearly limitless. I feel like the skill itself is kind of whatever. It's useful. It's certainly useful, but I don't think it's necessarily that amazing. Helps you deal with Gregor, and it gives you access to like pseudo field control later on in the game. Like that's about it, really. You can do some stupid shenanigans of like Eliwood or whatever, maybe move a non-MC to the front line and move MC to the back line to trap them or whatever. But yeah, I think he's okay. I wouldn't consider him number 1. I think number 3 is a pretty fair spot to put him in.
Number 3 or number 2?
I have him number 3 in my list personally as well, so I agree with Daniel on that. I suppose we can also take a moment to take a look at his other 2 skills, because Leif also does have some potential as MC. His first skill.
I mean, he's also a good deployable splash card too in certain decks.
Yeah, sure. His first skill lets you take a card from your hand, put it in your bonds face down to give your field +10, and your second skill lets you flip a yellow bond to pull one of your opponent's units, or well, not pull, to move one of your opponent's non-main character units. So he definitely bears a lot of resemblance to Roy as MC. It's debatable whether he's better or worse than Roy. I personally think he's worse than Roy just because I feel like his skills, well, in theory, are more efficient than Roy's, have less flexibility, less ways that they can be used. Like, it's like remember how I was talking about how less flexible Reinhardt is than Ileana? Like,
Yeah.
it's not as bad. Like, it's not nearly as blatant. Like, Reinhardt's, like, fucking horrendous, and Ileana's an amazing card. Like, I don't think Leif is, like, significantly worse than Roy or anything. In fact, I think it can definitely be argued Leif is better than Roy. I personally just think Roy is better, just because I think Roy has more flexibility in how his skills can be used. Like, with Leif, every time you want to give your field +10, you have to effectively discard a card from your hand. Technically, it's not discard, but most of the time, that cost effectively just means you're discarding. You can use it to ramp, which is cool, but like once you get past 6 bonds, if you don't have like Final Holy War in your deck or something, you're basically discarding a card from your hand to use that skill. Whereas Roy, he can just flip a bond to give his unit, one of his units +10. He doesn't have to ditch a card from his hand.
Yeah, but he can only buff one at a time, so...
Yeah, that's true, but like at a lot of the time, you generally only need to buff one unit. Like, do you really have like multiple units that need the field buff? And if you do, I'd say that kind of sucks because then you have to keep on discarding a card from your hand every turn in order to make those units relevant each turn.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
So, one interesting application of his first skill is in like Cordelia or Quan. When you deploy fee from your bonds, it doesn't mean you -1 your bonds, because you just -1 from your hand to ramp yourself back up to 4 bonds, which is, I think, pretty useful.
It's like the equivalent of...
Cordelia ran Mamoy, and then, so you just use Leaf Fee instead of Mamoy like Hinoka 3.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah. You also get him being able to pull stuff or flip 1, which is useful in decks like Cordelia.
Sure.
Next, probably?
Yeah, do we not have anything more to talk about, Leaf?
Yeah, I think...
Yeah, about him, not really. Next in Daniel's list
Really
is
solid
Quinoka.
Yeah, so, Quinoka, give me a second, guy. Quinoka, this card is good as fuck. Turn 5 deploys a bit late, but for Obero, that's not that big of a deal. Obero can oftentimes sneak a Hinoka 1 onto the board earlier on in the game, and it's not like your opponent's going to be concerned about removing that Hinoka 1 because they're busy clearing the Takumi 4-3 and the Setsuna 3-2 and the Fred and all this other shit. And if they, in the midst of that, if they feel the need to clear the Hinoka 1, that's pressure that is being exerted because of Quinoka. If Quinoka didn't exist, they wouldn't be worried about clearing the Hinoka 1 in the midst of also needing to clear the Takumi and all the other shit. So this card's like sheer presence just makes Obero better. You could argue that Obero very bond-heavy deck, so flipping 2 bonds may not be ideal a lot of the time. But the thing is, the fact that, like, it's a flyer, so you lose very little from running it, and the fact that you have the option at all to, like, use that ability, like, you don't have to use it every game, but you will be using it a lot of the time, just because it's a really fucking good skill, and it gives you a lot of reach into the later part of the game. And the fact that you even have that option to begin with just makes the deck even more flexible. Over already the best deck in the game prior to the printing of this card just becomes even better with this card existing.
Wow, I can flip 2 to summon 2 70 beaters in my backline?
Yeah,
Holy
so
moly.
generally you're going to be
Wow.
summoning Kiragi, so Hinoka herself can hit 70. If God forbid for your opponent, they're a 60 base, Jesus Christ, then you can summon a Takumi, and then you can summon Setsuna, and you can just beat the living shit out of them. It's worth noting that Hinoka, well, her best application is no doubt in Oboro, considering that Oboro is the best deck in the game. She also has a good amount of use in other decks as well, notably Cordelia.
And my boy Quan. Okay, so
Yeah,
basically in Cordelia, you can either deploy like Fred again or Misha if you're running yellow, and if you're running red, you can deploy Sheeta, which deploys Matilda 1,
Or Maria.
and then, or Maria, which basically means you deployed 3 units at the cost of 2 bonds. So
yeah,
it's pretty absurd.
This card is really fucking absurd. She can also move your entire field if you need to. That'll be useful in Quan, I bet.
Yeah.
That'll be
Quan
useful in
might.
something.
Yeah, not as useful in Cordelia. Cordelia already kind of has field movement covered by herself.
Yeah,
Like
and
a
you-
lot
and
of the
you can
time, you
play
just want to
Misha.
be. Like a lot of the time, you just want to be attacking. But again, it's just another option that you have available to you with this card. You can tap any ally. You don't just have to tap yourself. You can tap fucking anything. You can tap like some shitty, useless, like low cost that your opponent
You can
just
tap
maybe
that
never
Takumi 1 that-
bothered to clear earlier on in
Dude,
the
you
game, and
can,
all of a
you
sudden
can tap...
your entire
you can
field
tap
is
her-
on the back line, and if your opponent doesn't clear Hinoka, then your entire field is going to be on the front line again next turn. Like, Jesus.
And then
Yeah,
after
dude.
that-
It makes the turn 2 Zed play a lot more attractive.
Yeah. For sure. And you can, like, summon, again, the first skill, it's not color restricted, so kind of like Pala, but a lot better, since you're summoning from retreat, not hand, and you're not tapping to summon, so in theory, I probably a lot of decks won't be doing this for a while, but maybe later on people will start coming up with some really big brain shit. Summon like some like fucking whack ass shit from your retreat. Fucking summon like, oh wait, no, Jill's a 5 cost.
And she's an axe.
Glorious.
Oh yeah,
She's an
yeah,
axe.
right. She's not a lance either, but yeah, yeah. There's a lot of applications for this card. Flip 2 to summon has something that's been good pretty much ever since the history, like throughout the entire history of Cipher, whether it be White Femui, Jill, etc. This card's really good. I personally think she's the best card in the set, but
Same.
number 2 is certainly respectable as well. And finally, number 1 on
you missed
Peter's
her.
list,
There you go.
Maria.
Yay.
Maria!
I actually think she's pretty good.
I do too.
And don't
Yeah,
be,
but not
don't be
number 1.
fooled. Alright, don't be fooled by this card's text that says that she's a 4-drop. She's actually just a 2-drop. Ignore the
Yeah.
4 number. It's the
Except
ceiling.
except for Hinoka purposes.
Yeah,
Number
unfortunately. Yeah, or Ellis too. Almstaff.
Yeah.
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 It's like Bowie, except
Yeah, better Bowie probably.
It's Bowie, but you can flip 1 to draw a card.
And it's
yeah,
a 30
So-
that's kind
I
of.
feel like this card and Hinoka are easily the best cards in the set. I feel like we're definitely, out of all the cards in the set, going to be the ones that, like, impact the game the most. This card is fucking obscene. She's a 2-drop that is Bowie on offense, but is also Bowie on defense, so she's like a fucking hybrid between you, Bello, and Bowie, 2 cards that are already, like, really good.
And Sakura.
Yeah, and in addition to that, she's a fucking 2-drop that has a flip 1-for-1 that not only procs once, but procs multiple times for every flyer on the board. So you're running her in all flyer decks most of the time. So usually this just means like all of your units. If any of your units hit, you can flip 1 to draw a card. So she's a 2-drop with like the best stat line you've ever fucking seen on a 2-drop. And she gives your entire board global pressure with every single hit. Like, Jesus Christ. A lot of the time...
Now you too can become Obero.
Yeah! Like, a lot of the time you can easily just, like, flip 2 bonds to draw 2 cards with this card. Because, like, it's fucking turn 2, and you're getting hit twice. Your opponent doesn't want to. They will not dodge both of those hits. You're probably going to be flipping at least 1 bond to draw a card with Maria skill. This card is fucking crazy, dude. And I love the art.
If you weren't playing red in Cordelia,
and it's also worth noting that her thing is a spec, so when you deploy this thing turn 2, they can't fucking Veronica this. This is safe from Veronica.
Yeah, it just reduces the cost. You're still normal deploying it. The exception to this being if you deploy her with Sheeta, which you can do, by the way. Turn 4, you can play Sheeta.
And you don't even need your MC to be flyer, too, with Sheeta.
That shit's fucking crazy.
Dude, and the funny thing is that when you attack with Sheeta, if Sheeta hits something, you can draw 2 cards by flipping 1 bond.
Holy shit.
Yeah, this is a really good card.
Yeah, this card's fucking insanely good. The main issue of this card is just that, like, you can only really run her in Flyer MC, basically. Or if you're not playing a deck that's a Flyer MC, a deck that runs a lot of Flyers, which definitely limits her, like, the amount of stuff you can actually splash her in. Which kind of sucks, but... in the decks that she's usable in, she's an absolutely fucking obscene card. She's honestly the best 2-drop in the game, in my opinion, with the exception of, like, Gregor and Hisame.
This card is fucking cancer. She makes flyers that are already cancer even more cancer because, as you know, flyers centralize the game. When there's someone in the game playing flyers, everyone else around them has to play fucking flyers.
In order to deal with it, yeah.
Yeah, and then you just go and give, hey, let's give flyers Obero effects.
Yeah.
Like, she just
Obero
makes...
on you, Bowie. Like,
Yup.
Jesus, this card's fucking insane.
Yeah,
like, in general, cards that flip bonds very early, like Ubello 1, we'll get to Ubello 1 later. He's like a really good card because he's a 1 cost that flips your bonds. Like normally you need to rely on high costs to flip your bonds. Part of the reason why a card like this or a card like Tinny 3 is so good is because you have a low cost that can flip your bonds early on in the game, so you don't need to worry about playing high costs that flip those bonds to make use out of your bonds later on in the game. Or like, yeah, in the case of Tinny, you don't even need to deploy anything. And Maria, she'll just fucking go through all of your bonds a lot of the time if she's left unchecked. And on top of that, she just has like just this absurdly good stat line that's practically unrivaled among 2 costs. Like, this card's fucking amazing. There's not too much else to say here. This card's just so absurdly good. Yeah.
It's also nice to note that after she's been deployed, she goes back to being a 4 cost, so stuff that could destroy 2 costs or lower doesn't work on this.
Yeah, get fucked all Tenna.
Alright, whose list do we want to go over next? I'm probably going to change up mine a little bit.
I mean, I'm probably going to change mine a little bit because I think...
Yeah, I think Maria's probably number 3, best card.
But you know, let's go through mine just so we can talk about Ubello.
Sure. So I believe Ubello was number 5 on your list, right?
Yeah, it was 5. It's probably 4 because you know it's Ubello.
Yeah. Before you continue, I think I'm gonna go now.
You gotta go. All right. Thanks for joining us, Daniel. See ya.
Thanks for joining us, Daniel.
I'll see you for the next one.
Yep. Sure.
Bye, guys.
All right. Bye.
Hopefully the next one's better.
Alright. So, Ubello, just like we were talking about Maria, he flips your bonds early. he's essentially a 1-drop that replaces himself if you bonded a tome card.
Yeah, so like Marth kind of decks that run a lot of tomes. He's gonna
Yeah,
be
This
like
card
free.
would be so good in Marth if Marth was actually a good deck right now. Like, if we were back in set 13 and this card was printed, holy shit. Oh my god, this card would be absurd. The biggest issue of this card would be the fact that he's Ubello, so he has to compete with the other Ubello one who's also fucking broken,
Also
by the
really
way.
broken.
Yeah. But yeah, this card's really good. It's just, he's not that good in the meta right now. Like, none of the decks that would be running him are, like, favored right now just because we're too fragile to the extreme Archer rush that's happening right now, and they can't outrace Oburo.
I'll be honest, this set brought so little to the table that my number 4 and my number 5 are just cards that have potential to be being really good once this stupid
like,
Archer hell goes away.
Yeah, cards that are good in like different metas, but not this one.
Nexus Travel.
Ubello, and
Nexus
Traven.
Traven.
Yeah, because honestly, there's not a whole lot that comes in this set that just helps people survive or deal with anything. Like, Travant...
You got Quinoka, which makes Oburo even better. Thanks, IS.
Yeah, we're just until the next set comes in or rotation comes around, we're just gonna be trying to hide in our bunkers, or if you're Aku in your basement.
Rest in peace.
Yeah. Trying to avoid Oburo as much as you can, because really, Travant is a good card. Like, retreating 1 bond to make your opponent go down to 5 cards is a really good effect, but in this metagame, it's really useless.
Yeah, your opponent either doesn't have enough cards in hand, or this is way too slow.
Yeah, or this is way too slow. But it's a great card in, say, in the meta that Subpar would like to play, where Tiki's going everywhere, and it's Tiki punch duels every fucking where.
So, funny thing about Travant is that, ironically, he's really good in Leif, because Leif can get him out turn 4, because he accelerates a bond on turn 3, so he can be at 5 bonds on turn 4. And Leif makes Travant a 70 base, which is another one of his biggest issues. 61 range, not a very impressive stat line. So, outside of Death-Bringing Snare, which is the main reason you'd want to run Travant, discard your opponent's hand if they have a shit ton of stuff in it. He's a shittier Tobin. With his other 2 skills, which, I mean, being a shittier Tobin isn't that bad if you have another skill that's actually good to, like, go along with it, but his first 2 skills really aren't much of anything to write home.
Yeah.
If you're playing Travant, you're running him for the 3rd skill. The 2nd skill is kind of fun for Dragon Tribal,
it's useful in White Wings if you want to go to that shit show.
Unfortunately, he's a 5 cost, so you can't even deploy him with Palace, so he's pretty hard to run in that deck. You actually have to run yellow in order to run Travant.
Also, White Wing Bond.
Yeah, that too.
Yeah.
White Wings are really tight in bonds. They don't have bonds to spend on Est, let alone on fucking Travant.
So him and Ubello just have a lot of potential in once the metagame shifts from getting shit on by archers before turn 5 low.
Yeah. So, my thing about Travant, I'll say that I think that if Control becomes good again after rotation, he'll be good. Right now, I don't think he has much potential to be good, simply because Robin exists, and, like, if you're playing Travant, you're, like, against Control, and they have, like, 8 cards in their hand and 3 Robin 1s, which, like, isn't too unrealistic. You can heal a bunch of Robin 1s with, like, Jenny or whatever. And you get Travanted, you just get 3 fucking orbs. Like, oh my god, that's so bad. I think as long as Robin 1 exists, like, it's gonna be hard to use Travant. Sure, you might be able to cheese people, catch them like with their pants down or whatever. Like, if you're not running Robin 1, then you can hit them with the Travant. But playing this card if your opponent has Robin 1's like fucking suicide, and this card's already not very useful in most matchups. So right now, I don't like this card, but I think he could have potential to be a pretty solid anti-control tech in the future once Robin 1 goes away and once control actually becomes like relevant outside of Tiki. So he's okay. I love his art. Travin's cool. I'm glad a villain actually got a decent card for a change, but he's not that great.
Sadly.
Not now, anyway.
He has potential. Like, him and Yubello in this metagame, you never want to play them. They have more potential than anything, really. It's just potential more than actual power in this metagame, because if we want to talk about power, we could go back to Maria and Quinoka, because those are fucking busted.
Speaking of Maria and Quinoka, I believe those are your number 3 and 2 picks in your list, right?
Yeah.
Is Maria
pretty
number
much
3
every.
and Quinoka number 2?
No, it's reversed because
okay.
I didn't know where to put Quinoka. But yeah, we already talked about this. We don't need to go back to them.
We don't need to go over them again. They're really fucking good. And then you had Leif as number 1.
I think
it's understandable. Leif just has, like, in theory, has so many potential applications. I personally think Maria and Quinoka are better just because they're more useful in the decks that you run them in as opposed to Leif. Which
I mean, I think Leif is really good, not only because of his because of his endless applications. Like, you can run him in basically any deck to get around.
You wouldn't want to run him in a lot of decks, though. That's my thing.
Yeah, but in the decks that
you do run him in, he's still, like, he's useful, but compared to Maria and Hinoka, he impacts your deck a lot less than those two cards do. So
but you can run him in a lot more decks. Like, you don't need to run him in a very flyer heavy deck, for an instance.
Sure. Yeah, it's quality versus quantity, which is fair. Yeah, I guess it just depends on your personal standpoint. So your list is Yubello at number 5, Travin at number 4, Quinoka at number 3, Maria at number 2, Leif at number 1.
You can also play Leif in Eldegon, and he can
rest
serve
in peace, Eldegon.
Yeah.
Rest in peace.
Maybe one day he'll be back.
Maybe one day when turn 4 promo isn't the turn you die.
Yeah.
I don't think... we actually talked about this a while ago, Kokuusho. I don't think turn 4 promo is his issue. I think the issue is with 16 fucking 10 supports. Oh my god.
Yeah, where you just die to everything.
Oh my god, the support base is horrendous. It was fine back in the day, but now, like, 80 base being even more common, and, like, aggressive early games really being able to capitalize on that horrendously bad support base. You can't just, like, outrace your opponent and get away with it. Oh man, the 16-10 supports are just so bad. Holy shit.
Yeah, they just kill you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I feel like Eldegon still probably has potential, but he's gonna probably have to run a different type of deck in order to work. I think Flyer Eldegon could be cool.
Yeah, you could swap the sword aggro for flyer aggro and, like, pretend to be fucking Cordelia.
Yeah, and you're like 110 base.
Wow, your Mishas can be deployed. Whee.
Whatever, you're
alright.
Okay, so Leaf's pretty
Let's
cool.
go with mine.
Alright, you want to do yours next, Coke?
Alright, so my number 5 right now would be Tsubasa.
Okay, so Tsubasa at number 5. I was gonna put Tsubasa on number 4 in mine, actually, but I kind of forgot she was a card when I made my top 5, and I didn't remember until I saw your lists, and I didn't want to change my lists after seeing your lists.
So she's pretty close to number 4, but it's like, so she can turn 3 deploy, have like 370 beaters out, and that's really good, because you just
this
class
card's
change
like
spread.
fucking good as shit.
Yeah. This card's really good.
It's
Just
both
discard
MC
it to
and Splash.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, a little
She's sometimes
bit of
80
trivia.
base too. That's pretty freaking good. Yeah.
A little bit of trivia here. This is the first summoner type card that Red gets at a 4 cost or higher. She's the first Femui or Jill 5 that Red gets. Now Red has one of these.
Yeah. So red
Red is
in the future.
the exactly as amazing as it used to be, but it's still certainly a solid color. So
Yeah.
although I think that
Sometimes
the type
it
of
is.
deck that Tsubasa wouldn't be played isn't exactly the type of deck you'd be inclined to run Red and does. So I don't know how amazing she is
as far as like her color is concerned, but she's still pretty fucking good. Her skill's
Yeah.
literally Divine Ride. Like,
Yeah. Divine Ride.
yeah,
Yay.
Divine Ride is you have to discard a Tsubasa, so if you're splashing her, you're probably going to want to run like a bunch of like shitty Tsubasa, which kind of sucks, but it is what it is. Still really powerful ability.
I
It's
mean,
probably worth it.
other Tsubasa for her isn't that bad. It buffs your field.
I'd probably
Occasionally
play
that's useful.
I'd probably just play Tsubasa 1 as an early game
Oh yeah,
leader.
get out Freds. Well,
Yeah,
get out
that
Freds too.
Yeah, true.
Yeah.
But
I don't think she's too good in the meta right now though, because while being 70 beaters, it's like, haha, I'm Obero.
I assume you're talking
Goodbye.
about her MC potential.
Yeah.
I
She's
honestly
like
feel
alright.
like she has more use of Splash than as MC. Yeah, I think she's solid as
I
Splash.
feel like you can run more copies of her if you're MC. Like, I don't know about 12 Tsubasa Splash. Because that means you also need 8 Itsuki Splash, so.
You don't need 8 Itsuki, you just play 4.
Yeah.
I mean, it's from Retreat. You can just treat Itsuki like you treat
Yeah, you don't
Premier.
need 8 Itsuki.
Sometimes. I don't know about that. Maybe, well, as MC, you need it.
I think I ran like 2 Skrymir in my fucking green Marth list, so...
Same.
Yeah, well,
get
you're
away with it.
playing Necro Dragons or something.
No, I didn't run Necro Dragons.
What the hell do you run?
I just ran 2
Dude, you
Skrymir.
can just...
It's not too
you can
hard
just-
to get one of them in
Oh,
your
I mean, you have
retreat.
other deploys. You have
No, I
other-
don't. I literally
No,
only have
dude.
2 deploys in my deck.
No,
You
no,
have
like
mage emblems. You can
Skrymir.
discard
Not
Skrymir.
Skrymir. I'm talking about you had other deploys you did with green. Like,
No,
What do you
he
mean,
didn't.
like, other deploys? Oh, like, I had, like, Ileana.
yeah,
in
you,
the deck,
you
that's-
mainly did not play Jill. You mainly played Ileana.
Yeah, that's true. Although, like, with Tsubasa, it's not like you have to run, like, blue in order to run Itsuki. You can just play, like, 4
Right,
Itsuki and don't run any blues.
I was considering
I think
putting
she's
this card
better.
on my list, but my issue with her is that not only you have to flip, you also have to discard a Tsubasa to do your thing, so you're kind of dumping your hand to deploy a Itsuki, which doesn't do too much.
Well, I mean, it's the same thing as Divine Ride, right? You're flipping 1, and you're getting rid of a card from your hand to get a 70 beater on the board. That's what Divine Ride is. You're
You could
flipping-
also get out Kyria, which you can buff with May to also be a 70 beat.
Yeah, that too.
And she's in backline.
Mhm.
Oh, by the way, you can move your like Fred to the backline because you're as a Tsubasa MC because you have like a Shida.
Yeah,
Sheeta.
you have like your Sheeta synergy as well.
Yeah. So I think she's pretty good, but she just gets shat on by Obero because Obero's an 80 base and
It's
she has
a
a.
stupid MC.
Yeah. Alright. Next card. My boy Quan.
Quan.
I think-
He's okay.
I think he's good. I think he's like, it's not due to the card itself for him being good.
This
it's
is
due
kind
to
of
all
like-
his abilities
I
that
feel
he-
like this is kind of the same idea as like Aku putting Gubello and Trabant on his list. Like right now, he's not too relevant. He'll mostly be good.
I think
after
Quan
the-
is actually decent right now. Like,
But yeah,
I'm
but
like,
there's like not too much reason to play him, and you can play Cordelia.
you can. No, like if you're worried about Obero, I think Quan is a better matchup into Obero than Cordelia.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. But
Uh,
he'll mainly shine when Cordelia rotates
Yeah,
out.
when
you want a
Cordelia
deck,
rotates, he'll probably be like the best
and
flyer.
you want a deck that can
AoE
make
buff.
use of 50 flyers, because if you're running a deck of like all 60 flyers, the buff isn't that big of a deal. But for 50
So
flyers, you need it in order
basically,
to
his
hit.
second skill's completely irrelevant in his deck.
I suppose in
'Cause you-
theory you could activate it sometimes, but you run Fivo, don't you? So you're
Yeah,
almost
I run
never
Fee.
gonna
You
get
go,
to
you go,
6.
Fee. You go Fee Leaf on turn 4, so you're at like 4 bonds, and then you go 5 bonds with the Quinoka, which summons like a Misho or something.
In theory, you could get to 6 bonds, but by the time you're relying on heroic Gable procs to
Well,
kill things,
6
you're
bonds.
probably in a pretty bad position. So, It's mostly
Odds
just
are
for
high.
the buff.
Yeah, odds are
Also, his
high.
one cost is really good. So
Busted.
yeah, his one cost is really good because he can negate an attack from an archer basically each turn.
Oh yeah, his
Which is
one
why I
cost
think-
is fantastic.
He also can't get hit by Oboro Oboro 1 a lot of the times too because his entire base is flyers.
Yeah, his one cost is one of the best one costs in the game. Definitely makes him a solid MC choice
Yeah.
for sure. Yeah, he's pretty good.
Number 3 is Maria, number 2 is Leif, number 1 is Quinoka. We already went over this.
Yeah.
I kind of doubt how often you're gonna be 1-for-1ing with Maria. Like, in a lot of the decks that I play her in, it's like because I play her in like Cordelia.
If you're playing her
or,
in
like-
decks that are bond heavy. That's when you're
Yeah,
using
like-
your 1-for-1. But like the whole point is that she's like, I
you
feel like
have
the whole
options.
point of the 1-for-1 is like, if you have extra bonds that you need to spare and you want to get your use out of them, then you can use
Yeah.
them with Maria. Even if you don't find yourself in a position where you're using her 1-for-1, that's still not like half of the reason you run the card. She's still a
Yeah.
2-drop, possibly the
2-drop.
best stat line that we've ever seen on a 2-drop.
50
in this
beat or
game.
30 support. My God, 1 to 2 range. Oh my God, that's
Yeah.
so much. It is so much that's good about this card. And then yeah, we have Quinoka. Quinoka is just so absurd. You can deploy so much bullcrap with it.
She gives Obero even more range, more versatility. Yeah, we've talked about
It's
Quinoka.
crazy. It's just crazy. And she kills White Wings. Lamau.
Rest
That's
in
so-
peace.
That is so funny. Do you have anything different to Barn?
So for my list, for number 5, I had Pala specifically, not Katria and Est. I think Pala, just because she's like a flyer Sharina, she can summon whatever flyers you want. It means you can do a lot with deck building. You can get away with running stuff like May, because you can still deploy all of your White Wings. I'll have to do some testing with her. I'm not entirely sold on her being completely terrible just yet. I think she has potential, but she's
I
not
don't
that.
think they're completely terrible. I just think they're really bad.
They're not that great, for sure. As I mentioned earlier, I forgot about Tsubasa when I did my list. I'd probably not have Pala on the list, and I'd have, where is she? Altena, who I have as number 4 on my list. I'd have her as number 5, and then I'd have Tsubasa as number 4
Alright,
on my
Altena.
list.
How did the Altena thing go?
I actually have not tested her at all yet.
Oh my God.
Thanks,
Barn.
thanks, Smash. But I think
Fight me, Tibarn.
I think Altena's.
Once you get me out of this basement, I'll play you.
I think
Better buy him better internet.
Altena's a really solid MC. She's Hector, but for a cheaper cost, which is like Hector traditionally not the greatest MC, but being Hector isn't bad, especially in this meta where everything's so aggressive. Just being a constant 100 base. The trade-off for having a cheaper cost is the fact that you kind of need to be doing it every turn, whereas with Hector, you're not in a position where you absolutely have to use Hector's skill every turn. With Altena, you kind of do, because 60 base is just like, you get fucked up so hard as a 60 base, but with Hector, he's a 70 base, which is more manageable. That being said, you still probably do want to use Hector's heal most of the time, so Altena being forced to use her skill every turn isn't that big of a deal, especially if you build correctly. But not only is she Hector, being a constant 100 base, which is solid in itself, she also has a second skill, Oath upon Gungnir, which lets her retreat a bond to choose 3 enemies with a deployment cost of 2 or lower and destroy them. This is really solid in my opinion. It's really good against Obero. Obero is a deck that relies a lot on low cost, not only for your early game aggression, but also as a means of accelerating her game plan. Keeping Takumi 1 on the board lets her play Takumi on turn 3. Playing Hinoka 1 on the board early lets her play Quinoka turn 4, shit like that. And Altena lets you get around that by using her Oath of Gungnir skill. And in general, it's just useful for other decks that rely on using lots of low costs to do damage early on. Oath upon Gungnir really becomes absurd when she is paired with Zeke, though. You can run Zeke Splash.
Yeah, Zeke Splash seems pretty good.
Yeah. Discarding a red card, and potentially you get that card back of Zeke too if he hits. It's not guaranteed though, but at worst, you're discarding a card and a bond to basically blow up your opponent's entire board. So you have damn near free board control. You have
It's actually free, because you're discarding your flipped Altena bond, so...
It's nearly free. It's not 100% free, but it's close to free. And you clear your opponent's entire fucking board, in addition to being a 100 base. To me, that sounds really strong. Her biggest issue, without a doubt, is the fact that she has this icon on her card right here. This flyer affinity.
Thanks, archers. And
Quinoka is going to fuck her up. As a 1-cost, she's going to get mauled by archers early on. And even in the late game, she won't get hit by Takumi and Setsuna, assuming they don't get good supports, but she will get hit if a Kuragi is on the board, and of course Quinoka can summon Kuragi, so Quinoka just makes it even harder for Altena to deal with Oboro. Luckily, Altena still won't get hit by Oboro and Fred, though, so it's not that bad, but the early game is really rocky. I feel like the first 2 turns of the Altena versus Oboro matchup are where the game really has the potential to go, just go to hell in a handbasket for Altena, just because she gets hit guaranteed by all of the fucking low-cost archers that Oboro runs. But yeah, I think she's decent, and I think she has potential to become stronger if archers phase out of the meta. I think she just has a really solid kit all around. And I think she has a lot of potential to be good. So I have her as number 4. I'd probably have her at number 5 if I had remembered Tsubasa was a card. And like Kokuusho and Aku, my top 3 is Leif, Maria, Hinoka. My order is Leif at number 3, Maria at number 2, Hinoka at number 1. Again, for me, I just value quality over quantity. You can run Leif and more stuff, but I think Maria and Hinoka do more in the decks that they are ran in as opposed to Leif. Yeah. I think Hinoka's better than Maria just because Oboro's fucking stupid. And Hinoka is just such a game changer when she enters the board. Getting 2 fucking 70s on the back line, just with the snap of a finger. Oh my god. I asked, what were you thinking?
You mean 2 70s on the front line and a 60 on the back line in Cordelia? Ooh.
God forbid a Takumi stuck, because you can play them on the front line. In Oboro, you can play Hinoka and Kuragi on the front line to poke at your opponent's back line, and then they get whisked away back to the safety of the back line, thanks to parting the seas. What a dumb card.
Yup.
Yeah, so...
That's about it.
Yeah.
We covered, everything.
I think Kokuusho changed his top 5 list a bit.
I did. I put Maria above Tsubasa, moved Tsubasa down to 5.
Okay. Whatever.
I think Quan's better. Quan! Yeah!
I did not understand the Quan boner.
He's so good. He's better, he's better against, Overo Cordelia. And that's it. I mean, he's a decent MC. You'll definitely see play after Cordelia rotates. Because once Cordelia rotates, it's, oh my god, it's all over for Cordelia.
Can archers rotate already? I don't
know about that. Isn't, Takumi set 4 or something? Set 8?
Yeah, Takumi set 7.
That's not for a while.
Yeah, well, they will probably get worse at the very least when the attack emblem archers get rotated out, but
yeah, that's true.
They still won't be gone entirely, most likely. So, and possibly the best deck to deal with archers, Tiki, is going to take a hit in rotation
take
as well.
Pretty big hit from rotation.
Yeah, so hopefully set 16's a bit better. The fact it's kind of just been the perfect storm too. We've all just been playing Smash. We haven't had much of an opportunity to test the shit in the new set as well. So
Yeah, but the reveals didn't hype anyone up
Yeah.
about really anything, so like...
Yeah, it's a perfect storm. Sets Bad and Smash just came out. Hopefully Set 16's a bit better, but unfortunately we're going to have to wait a while before Set 16 comes out. I don't think we get it until like March. Yeah. Hope you like Obero. Hopefully, maybe something like we missed.
Yeah, I hope you like Daniel and like Obero.
Maybe we missed something this set that turns out is
We
actually
did
super
last
broken.
set.
Yeah, we certainly did.
Lol, Obero won. But what? Who thought a one
Yeah.
cost was basically stronger than every other SR in the game?
Yeah.
Pretty much. I guess this next set's not gonna happen because
You cut out what?
I think this is not gonna happen this time around because I mentioned Yubella won in this set, so he's not gonna blow up in the next one.
No, hopefully not.
Yeah,
I don't know.
We shall see.
We shall see.
I'm going
Alright,
to end the
folks.
recording. Thank you all for watching. A bit shorter than the usual. We'll probably be back to our usual 3 hours.
3 hours.
And set 16, assuming set
Oh
16
my
actually
God.
has fucking shit going over on like this set. Oh my god, set 17 is gonna be so long. Oh my god. It's gonna be like
Lord.
10 hours. Okay, I'm
Timber,
gonna...
if we're ever doing this again, at least bring me food to the basement next time before we do this.
I make no guarantees.
We're doing top. We're gonna go do a top 5 versus.
We'll play it by ear. We'll figure it out. All right. Thank you guys for
All right.
watching. See y'all later.